Right, hey up, it's Steve from the Old Yorkshire Geek, and welcome to episode 90. Crikey, we're nearly at the 100, aren't we? Of Friday night, Appointment with Fear, and this week we're looking at Pearl from 2022. Pearl is a prequel to the film X, also from 2022, written and directed by Ty West. I'm a bit of a fan of Ty West. I like his films. Apart from X, I liked it, but I wasn't a huge fan of it. And he did another one. I forgot what it was. It was a sequel to not Wrong Turn. Was it Cabin Fever 2 or something like that? He did. Wasn't the best, but I like all these other films. We've done House of the Devil. That was a Ty West film, and we've done Innkeepers as well. That was another Ty West film. So I'm a bit of a fan. He also appeared in as an actor in You're Next, another film we've covered on Friday Night Appointment with Fear. But anyway, this week we're doing Pearl, which is a prequel to X. X, if you've seen it, is a film set in 1979. It's about a group of, 20-somethings or whatever, a group of young people that go to a farm in Texas to film a pornographic movie. That's why it's called X. And it stars Mia Goth as two characters. She plays a character called Maxine, which is a young woman that's appearing in the adult movie, and she plays Pearl, the old lady who, along with her husband Howard, owns the farm that they are filming the movie on. Anyway, this is a prequel. It's about Pearl as a young woman. It's set in 1918 in Texas. In the waning months of the First World War. Pearl is a troubled young woman whose husband has gone off to fight in the war, and she's kind of irked about it. She feels abandoned because she's been forced to stay on the family farm with a domineering mother and an infirm father. And it affects her, but it turns out she's kind of been the way she is all of her life, and her mother knows it. But anyway, that's enough of that. It had a budget of only $1 million, much like X did. That was a low-budget film. They easily made it back at the box office. It got lots of plaudits. Mia Goth won, tons of awards. I think she should have been up for an Academy Award for her performance in this film, because it is astonishing. And I will not do it justice in this review. But anyway, that's the info about Pearl. As I said, directed by Ty West, and also written by Ty West and Mia Goth. Stars Mia Goth, David Corran Sweat, who we're going to see at some point down the line in Superman. Is the new Superman is David Corran Sweat. Also stars Tandy Wright. Matthew Sunderland, Emma Jenkins Purro, and Alistair Sewell, and a few other people. And with a really good score by Tyler Bates and Tim Williams. It's like a sumptuous orchestral score because the film has sumptuous visuals. They originally wanted to film it in black and white, but the studio, A24, wouldn't allow them to do that. Don't know why, they just wouldn't. So they thought, right, we'll go the opposite end of the scale, and we'll film it in like Technicolor, really, bright colours, like one of the classic MGM movies from the 50s, and all that. So right, so let's get on with it, shall we? But before we start, don't forget, like and subscribe, share the videos, drop a comment, hit the notification bell if you're subscribed already. This will be going up on Rumble and Spotify and Amazon Music podcasts. I'm also on Facebook, X, and Instagram. Links in the description, as I have links to my 2 books and links for my Patreon page and the merch page where you can get stuff like this T-shirt. There we go. Friday Night Appointment with Fear T-shirt with blood coming down it and a vampire lady, and also hats and stuff like that, mugs. The usual stuff. Right, so what shall I do? I will make myself titchy tiny, but before I do that, I've got to do that. And down I go. You ready? Here we go. It's blood ash. Oh, excuse me. Right, and I will add the movie. As usual, we'll not be watching this film just like a normal film. It's not a watch party because YouTube frowns upon those. Especially, well, particularly if you put the film up on screen. We'll be watching it in a series of stills. I'll try and remember what I can about the film and what I've learned about it, during the commentaries on the, on the Blu-ray. I keep forgetting to show them in full screen, but never mind. Not the commentaries, the making of. There's not that much on this Blu-ray. There's like a couple of little makings of like 10 minutes each, where Mia Goth and Ty West talk about the film and stuff like that. So there's not a huge amount to say about it. Right, so off we go. Right, there we go. A24. They've become like the studio for like indie horror stuff now, haven't they? After films like Hereditary and stuff like that. Anyway, here we go. So we start off in a kind of a John Ford kind of view. This, isn't it, where we moving in on a closed doorway, and then it opens up into a sumptuous, colourful landscape. I'll give you an example of the music, by the way. The amazing score. Hopefully I've got it loud enough. No, I haven't. Right. So, are you ready? I better stop it there because I'll get into trouble. That's a great score. Right, so off we go. Are we going? There we go. And it opens up. There we see the farmhouse. This is the same farmhouse from X. It's called Powder Keg Farm or something like that, which is an appropriate name. Considering what happens there. Nothing explodes. Well, a person does, but only in a, not a hallucination, but a thought. But we see the farm from X. In X, as I said, X is set in 1979, so the farm's kind of run down and not very well kept. But this were filmed straight after the finished shooting X. So, the cast or whatever, or the most of the people went away, the production crew. But the set designers stayed behind and fixed up the house, and they came back and it were all lovely, and the lawn was relaid with got lovely green grass, and the barns were painted and outhouses were painted lovely red and everything, so it all looked lovely. So here we go. There we go, starring David Corran Sweat. Weird name, isn't it? So there we go. Here we see Pearl. She's trying on one of her mother's dresses, it turns out. She wants to be a dancer, does Pearl, as we see here. Look, she's wanting to dance, and she's performing for herself. She wants to be a dancer. She wants to be a star on the movie screen. Anyway, her mother finds her. There she is. That's Tandy Wright, a New Zealand actress. This was filmed, by the way, in New Zealand. So there's a lot of New Zealand actors and actresses in it, like Matthew Sunderland. He's a New Zealand actor, and but in this, she's adopting a German accent because it seems they're a German family. I don't know about the dad. Don't know the family's surname. We know Pearl's surname because she's married to Howard, and Howard is Howard Pratt. So technically, she's Pearl Pratt, but I don't know her mother and father's surname. I presume it's a German one because it says they're a German family. So she's speaking German here, which is why there's like hard-coded subtitles there. And Tandy Wright apparently she learned German for the role. I don't know if she learned to speak it fluently or just learned her lines in German and maybe picked up. I don't know, but she was good enough to impress some actual Germans that were in the crew. But anyway, but she's a domineering mother who kind of resents her life. She's kind of what Pearl could become if she doesn't escape the farm. Ultimately, she doesn't escape the farm because she's still there 60 years later in 1979. But anyway, so she tells her to take the dress off and go and feed the animals like she's supposed to do. So off she goes. She goes stomping off to the barn where there's goats and cows and sheep and geese and stuff like that. And there she feeds them, just throws them some hay, and tells them about her desire to become a star in the movies, in a lovely, Texan accent. I don't know if it is a Texan accent, but Mia Goth is English, with a kind of a core blimey accent. If you see her in like interviews, she's kind of, we rewrote the script and all that jazz. But she just put on, she must be good with accents, not like me. But anyway, so she's talking to the cow. All the animals are named after Hollywood movie stars. Don't ask me which ones. The only one I know is Theda Barra, where we see the name on a sign at the cinema. But none of the farm animals are named Theda. It turns out it's an alligator that is named Theda. But anyway, all the others are named after other movie stars. Mary, I don't know. A movie star called Mary, a silent movie star called Mary. I should know it. Mary Pickford. I bet that's Mary Pickford, yes. I don't know about the others, though. Right, she goes and picks up a pitchfork. We'll see that she's pretty handy with a pitchfork later in the movie and in a moment. She's like dancing with it. There you go. Y'all see me for who I really am. And then a goose appears. There we go. Thrown onto the... thrown into shot by a goose wrangler, no doubt. So here it comes. Waddling in and giving her the eye. And she says, why are you looking at me like that? And then she kills it with the pitchfork. And then next time we see her, there you go. She's got the dead goose still on the pitchfork. I thought we were going to end up seeing it cooked and on the family dinner table, but no, she's just killed it, which kind of is a clue as to her state of mind. And she takes it to the creek or the lake or whatever this is. And she goes, Theda. She calls the alligator, which comes when called. There we can see it. And then she's just feeding it the goose. There we go, bang. It's not a CG alligator. I imagine the back end of it is CG'd, but the front end, it's animatronic. Because in the behind the scenes, you see men operating it. And my cat, activates. As soon as I start doing this, she did it earlier on. I did another video earlier on. She started instantly. Look, she's started. She'll want to go out now. Behave yourself. Behave yourself. Or there'll be trouble. She'll start meowing in a minute. Every time I start doing this, it must be my voice. She thinks, I hate the sound of his voice. I must get out. That's probably what she's thinking. Anywho, where were we? It's an animatronic alligator. And they've obviously CG'd out, put some splashes in and CG'd out the men operating it. And it looks cool. It looks cool. And it's still there. Maybe not it. Maybe its children are still there 60 years later in 1979. But because it does lay eggs. As we find out. Right, so next up we see Mother preparing the evening meal with Pearl helping. And then she's saying, what do you think you're doing? It's just dancing, Mama. But anyway, we see there's... she's looking at the newspaper, that's it. She's seen about how the war's going and it could be over soon. And we find out that this is set in at least September 1918, probably a little bit after. And as we know, the First World War ended in November, 11th of November 1918. So we're coming to the end of World War I. So they're getting ready for dinner there. She wheels her dad in. They say he's infirm. We don't know what's the matter with him. It's at the height of the Spanish flu pandemic. So everybody's walking about in masks and stuff. And coincidentally, and it is sheer coincidence, that it's set now because it was filmed during the height of the COVID pandemic in New Zealand. That's just a weird coincidence. So anyway. They'd done, all the cast and crew had done their isolation, so they could, they were given permission to do the filming and stuff like that. Anyway, so he's infirm. I don't know if he's had a stroke or something like that. I don't know, but he can't move. He can move his eyes and that, but he can't speak or anything like that. But I think he's still in there, but he can't. He's a bit like, what's that film with Jason Robards that Metallica used in their video for One? He's like that. He's like trapped in his own body that he can't move because he knows stuff's going on. Because we see later that he does get afraid. Anyway, so they're saying grace and all that stuff, and then eating their corn. There is a big cornfield near the farm, and I don't know if it's their cornfield or if it's a neighbouring farm's cornfield and they've bought the corn off them. I don't know. I can't imagine this farm is very big because there's just them. We learned that all of the hands, the farm hands, have gone. Don't know why. Maybe it's because of the pandemic. I don't know. It could be. Or because of the war, I don't know, but or maybe it's because of Pearl. Who knows? But it's just them running the farm, and I can't imagine. I think it's Ruth. I think her name's Ruth is her mother. Let me just double check. Yes, Ruth, Pearl's mother. I can't imagine Ruth or Pearl, harvesting all this corn. But you never. I don't know. They might do. Whatever. Pardon me. Right, so there she is eating all that and feeds the dad some mushed up corn. Then after dinner, she's looking at a letter from Howard from Europe. There we go, my precious Pearl, September 9th, 1918. So it's sometime after that. And she's sitting in. She's in the bathroom because she's told her mother tells her go and wash up father, after dinner. So she's giving him his bath, and then she's having one of her. We see what's in her mind's eye. You can't really call them hallucinations or whatever, or visions. It's just I think it's just what she's thinking of. We get glimpses of that, and she sees him. Howard's coming back from the war. But then there you see she's sitting on the edge of the bath reading the letter to her dad. There you go. She's just washed him with the bath water, and then she's going to get in the bath herself. And obviously, there's no modesty. Don't worry, we don't see anything. Then she's giving him his medicine. We learn it's some form of morphine, which could be habit forming. It says on the label, which we'll get to in a bit. There's nearly run out, so next day she's got to go into town and pick up some more medicine. We hear her mother say so. There's money on the sideboard or whatever. And she's looking forward to it because when she goes into town, she gets to stop by the pictures and the cinema, and she can watch the films. So anyway, so she's got in the bath. She's having a bath. She doesn't want to waste the water, and he's watching, but obviously he can't do anything. Mother comes in and takes dad away and tells her not to stay away from people because of the pandemic. She's terrified of it bringing it back. So here she goes. She's riding her bicycle into town. There's the big cornfield that she passes. As I said, I don't know if it's theirs or a neighbouring farm's, but anyway, here she goes into town. As I said, it's filmed in New Zealand. I don't know where. Hang on. I've seen it somewhere. Just let me check. Recording as live. Pearl 2022 filming locations. Right, here we go. Wellington and Wanganui in New Zealand. So I presume this might be Wanganui that we're seeing on screen. Wellington's like the capital of New Zealand, isn't it? So this might be Wanganui. I'm probably mispronouncing that, but I don't know. But it looks very nice. It looks very turn of the century, a turn of the century Western style town, like American or Australian or New Zealand, or a frontier town, I suppose you'd say. It doesn't like a town that you'd see in like England, which would have all stone buildings and stuff like that. It's all like wooden fronted buildings and stuff. Anyway, I think you see government standard influenza medicine depot, or depot, as you'd say in America. But anyway, so she goes to the pharmacy. The pharmacy just happens to be over the road from the pictures. There was Cleopatra, Theda Barra, Theda the alligator, remember, and now showing Palace Follies. That's the film she's going to go see. So as there's a fella saying, "We shall not accept a life we do not deserve," and the end is one of the end is nigh type people. Right, hang on. Here we see getting the medicine. There it is. Liquid morphine sulfate. Warning, may be habit forming. Directions: adults 1 teaspoon every 3 to 4 hours. Liquid morphine sulfate. It's 2 bits. So she buys that. And then she goes over to the pictures to watch Palace Follies. So here she is enjoying the movie. By the way, before that, there's a newsreel showing what's happening in the war, and it's kind of graphic. I think it's a newsreel because we see men burning and screaming and stuff like that. Like that. Well, did they show that in the newsreels in 1918? I don't know. It looks a bit gruesome. I mean, it could be real because there's another film that we see later on that I thought were made for this, but apparently is a real movie from 1915. But we'll get there later. So she watches that, and then the film begins, and there's ladies dancing, and there's obviously some sort of recorded track to go with it. Remember silent films back in the day usually weren't very long, were they? Like 20 minutes or something like that. Probably an hour at most. Even like there were some epics, weren't there? But there were few and far between. Like Birth of a Nation and Ben-Hur and stuff like that. But there were few and far between films like that, weren't there? There were mostly stuff like this that landed, that were just like, a couple of reels, I suppose, for entertainment. Anyway, that's what she wants to become, a dancer. So she's enjoying that. So she comes out of the theatre, as we see, skipping out of the theatre with a programme in her hand that she's picked up there. What does that say? Spit spreads death. Warnings about the dangers of Spanish flu or COVID. Anyway, she's going to stand there and look at her programme. And here comes David Corenswet out the side door. He is the projectionist. That's all he's named in the film. The projectionist. Mia Goth, in the interview on the Blu-ray, suggested that it may not exist. It may be a figment of her imagination. A projection, so to speak. But I don't think that's true. I think it does actually exist. Anyway, he sees her reading that, and she says she'd love to be in the movies, and he seems a nice fella. He's not seducing or anything like that. He's kind of just being nice to her. But one thing happens, it kind of snowballs. But it's not through his doing, sort of. Anyway, so. She gives her a cigarette and all that, but I don't know if we see her smoke it. I don't know if we do. I could be wrong. But he says, come back any time and knock on the door, and let you watch the films for free. And he says he's the projectionist and all that stuff. But she says she's got to get back. So he says, okay. Right. And he goes in, he says, wait there. And he goes in and he comes back out, and he's got, obviously, as you can see, a roll of film, and he snips out one frame, and she says, isn't that damaging the film? And he says, I can splice it together. It's only one frame, nobody will notice. And it's obviously, it looks as though it's from the film she's just watched, the Palace Follies. You can see the dancers and stuff. So she's got a little piece of film, which I've got some of those. There's one there. No, it's down there. I've got a couple of them. It's nice to have, reels of 35mm film or little souvenirs. If you're into movies, which she is. So she's got that. She's all chuffed to bits about that. But then she loses it straight away, but never mind. So he says, call back any time and knock on the door. There you go. He says, I'm always here, and he can run the films as much as he likes. So she says, thank you, and I will. So off she goes, back riding her bike, happy as a pearl in an oyster. But as she's riding, where are we? Being all happy and not paying attention and having little thinking back about the movies. I've missed it. There you go. The piece of film, the frame of film, comes out of her pocket. It comes out of her pocket. Have I seen? Have we caught it? Have I gone to? There we go. She goes, no. So she's lost it. She'll never find it. She goes looking. She jumps off her bike and goes into the cornfield. But she can't find it. It's a little tiny slip of film. She'll never find it, and she doesn't. So she goes in the field, and I think she kind of gets lost amongst the corn. She ends up coming across a scarecrow in a clearing. Is it in a crop circle? It could be. Who knows? Anyway, she sees this scarecrow that is it's got a face that's eerily realistic. Obviously, it's not real, but it kind of looks as though it could be. It's one of those faces that so you're looking and you're thinking, is it going to open its eyes or do something? It looks scary. It's one of the scariest things in the film, in my opinion. It looks as though it could open its eyes at any minute. Is it her scarecrow, from her farm, or is it from one of the other farms? I don't know. But she gets him down and says, "Would you like to dance?" There we go. "May I have this dance?" So she starts dancing with him, puts the top hat on, and kisses him and stuff like that, and starts giving him full tongues, as we'll see in a minute. Here we go. There you go. And I'm expecting the eyes to open, but something weird does happen as she's kissing him. She opens her eyes. There we go. She's got her eyes closed, and she opens her eyes. There we go. And we see the projectionist's face looking back up at her, and she goes, "I'm married." Gets cross, says, "I'm married," and leaves him dumped there. And but she starts writhing about on him, seducing the scarecrow, and we hear it groan in passion, groans of passion. But anyway, she gets back home. There we go. Mother's there chopping wood, and she says, "What took you so long?" And I can't remember what she says. What did she say? She just says it's a long ride, Mama. I think that's what she says. She says, "What took you so long?" It's a long ride. I think her mother knows that she goes to the cinema and stuff like that. And she asks why she's wearing that top hat. She says she found it by the side of the road. So maybe the scarecrow isn't theirs, because if it was, you think she'd know that it had a top hat on. But right, so she's got to go and wash her hair now. She says, "Go and wash your hair, because it might have germs on." I said they're all terrified of the flu. And then she's got to go change his father because she don't want him sitting in his own mess. There you go. So she's cleaning him up and cleaning herself up. Still talking about being in the movies. Spends half her life in the bath. But then she obviously her father's not responding, so then she nips him. And I was expecting to see a bit of blood, nipping him on his finger, and I expected to draw blood, but she doesn't. But he doesn't react, so there's no feeling anywhere in his body. And she's prodding him, saying, "Are you in there?" So she's kind of a bit of a psycho. Anyway, so they're getting ready for dinner again. So they're having the dinner, their soup or stew or whatever it is. And the mother asks about, some money missing. She knows exactly how much she's given her, and there's some missing. And there you go. Where's the rest of the money? I lent you, but does she mean gave for the? I presume she mean for the medicine. But she says she doesn't say that she went to the cinema with it. She says she bought some candy for the ride home. Then the mother takes a soup off her or whatever, 8 cents. So she takes the soup off her and says, "Well, that the candy was your supper. Then go to your room." I said, "But Mama, it's a long ride. I'm starving." But the mother's been all harsh with her. So she says, "Where you going?" So she goes to leave the table. "Where you going? You have not been excused." So she's got to sit back down again. She's basically treating her like a kid. She's a grown woman. I imagine she's in her 20s. She's a grown woman. She's married. She's a married woman. But she's been treating her like a kid. She's kind of acting a bit like a kid, I suppose. A frumpy, like a bit like frumpy teenager. And then she's speaking to her in German, and she's saying, she's got responsibilities and all that because of the way Dad is. It's up to them to, look after the farm and all that stuff. And it's hard for them being a German family, although you wouldn't know it from Pearl's accent, but she's saying it's hard for German families because obviously they're fighting the Germans in the war in Europe, but it's hard for them. I don't know if the dad is German. That's what I'm saying. She's a German family, but we don't hear a dad speak or anything. So, and we don't know the surname. So I'm presuming the dad's German as well, but I don't know. Anyway, right. So she's told. So she's excused. So off she goes to bed. Praying. Next day. She's milking the cow, Mary the cow. And we see Mitzi arise. Mitzi's a sister-in-law, and Mitzi's mother. This is Howard's sister and Howard's mother. And they're calling round, and apparently the mother is going round, the neighbours and stuff like that, with, gifts. So, anyway. So she says hello to Mitzi. Her and Mitzi do tend to get on because they're sisters-in-law, so I suppose it's nice to have sisters. She brought her like a roast pig or something for the family. But Ruth's saying we do not accept charity, and she says, "Oh, it's just a pig, Ruth." Anyway, so saying the war's dreadful, and we learn that they're quite a well-to-do family, but all Howard wanted to do was to get away from the, sort of like their way of life. So he went off to become a farmer, married Pearl, and then he ran off to Europe to fight in the war. Anyway, and then she's got a secret as Mitzi. There's going to be an audition on Saturday at the church hall. There's like somebody is putting together a dancing troupe that's going to tour around Texas or whatever, entertaining people. They go for a chorus line, a Christmas chorus line, to bring merriment to people during the holidays. And the rumour is they're going to pick one girl from each town, so that Mitzi's going to go and audition, and so Pearl decides she's going to go as well, so they're going to go together. So that's going to be their secret. As we see, it doesn't go well. Right. She's looking at a programme from the cinema, and then having thoughts about her being a dancer. Right. So. I think her mother's looking for her. I think she's looking for a dress to wear. There you go. She's getting dressed. Her mother's looking for her. I think she's going to go and see the projectionist. So she's climbing out the window onto her bike, and then she's off to see the projectionist. Still wearing her top hat, you see. Have you noticed the spit spread death sign has gone? It was there, wasn't it? So in the space of a few hours, it seems, I think, or maybe it's a day, maybe, they've got rid of that sign. Anyway, never mind. So she goes and knocks on the door, he lets her in. No hanky-panky, don't worry, not between them. He wants to show her a film, there, gives her a little drinky. So, it's been very pleasant with her. And as I said, I think he's a nice fella. I don't think, he's not forcing anything on her. They do have a relationship, that sort of relationship later in the film, but it's kind of instigated by Pearl. So, anyway. He says, she sees a bed, and she says, "Do you live here?" And he says, "Well, I don't really live anywhere. I'm kind of what they call bohemian." So basically, wherever he lays his hat, that's his home. But, so he says, what film do you want to watch? And she wants to watch Palace Follies. He says, "Well, you've seen that. I'll show you a film that nobody's ever seen." This is kind of weird. This is the weirdest thing he does, really. It's essentially an adult movie he's showing her. So that he got in France, I think he said. I think he said he got it in France because he's been to Europe. That's he says, in Europe, the arts are allowed to flourish more than in America. So he's watching that, and here we go. And apparently, this is a real film. Hang on, I can tell you. I've got it in the trivia somewhere. A Free Ride, it's called, from 1915. A real vintage stag film. So there we go. But it is a bit of a mystery. I don't think anybody knows who were behind it. But I'm going to have to be quick here because there's some, nudity. But she's watching that, and there we go. So they're kissing and cuddling in turn of the century style. Oh, dead it. Luckily, it's kind of overexposed, so you don't see a lot anyway. But it's connecting, isn't it, to X? Remember, X were a film about they were making an adult movie, and it's showing that even back in 1918, there were a thing then. Because it's the way, isn't it? It's always the adult movies that get a technology or something moving forward. That's why we're VHS and Blu-ray, because it was the adult industry that decided to adopt those formats. And they got in on movies early on. There we go. Oh, crikey, that was close, wasn't it? But she doesn't seem shocked at anything by it, Maybe you were trying to shock her and she doesn't seem shocked at all. But, she's saying that she doesn't like, she's trapped on that farm. And he says, well, why don't you leave? And he says, she can't. It's not as simple as that. And he's saying to her, well, it's your life and you've got to, take every chance you can get. But anyway. That's what she said. Sometimes she wish they would die. It's about her parents. Then he goes, pardon? Is that nothing? So anyway, she decides to go then. She says, I'd better go. And, she's talking about, he'd take her to Europe and stuff like that. And you can do whatever you want to do in Europe. In those days. But anyway, so she gets back home, and then she hears her mother crying. She goes to check, and her mother's crying in bed, but she doesn't, disturb her. There's Howard in his uniform, and all she got to say to him is, "What are you staring at?" Much like she did the goose earlier on, but she doesn't stab Howard with a pitchfork. Right, next day. That's some lovely, sky. I don't know if this is, CGI or what, if it's the genuine sky. It kind of looks very cinematic, doesn't it? But anyway. She's taking her dad out for a walk, and her mother's looking, and she's taking him to see Theda. And she actually calls the alligator, and she pushes him right to the edge, and she's telling him that she's leaving soon and all that stuff. And is she going to push him in? I don't know. The alligator's getting closer, and we see that the dad knows what's going on, and his breathing quickens and all that, but he can't do anything about it. She's pushing him closer, but then mother arrives and interrupts. Says, "What you doing?" Says, "Just taking some air with daddy," or whatever. Anyway, mother takes father back in. There you go. Oh, and then she says, "Why do you hate me, Mama?" And she, as you'd expect, she'd say, she says, "I don't hate you," but she doesn't say that. She just says, "I only want what's best." So obviously, a mother doesn't like Pearl very much, but I think she's kind of scared of her because later on in the film, she does actually say to her, "I've seen what you do," and she's seen that she kills animals and stuff like that. So I think her mother's kind of scared of Pearl, and rightly so, as we'll find out. Anyway, so there you go, she takes Dad back up to the house. So Theda's missed out on a big meal. I thought we were going to see the alligator pop up here, but we don't. She's looking in the water, but Theda's gone. And she goes looking for Theda, And then we get a glimpse of the tail of the alligator as it swims back into the water. And then we see that she's got some eggs. She's got a nest. There we go, with some eggs. And she takes one of the eggs and she goes and puts it up in the barn. There you go, she pops it there. So is she going to try and, I think, is she going to try and hatch an alligator? I suppose you're supposed to think, is this going to be the alligator that we see in X, it's like 60 years later? Well, no. Because she gets angry for no reason. She comes back down and then she sees Mary, the cow, looking at her. And so she kind of gets angry at Mary. She doesn't kill Mary. She says, "What are you staring at?" And she goes back up the ladder and breaks the egg. No, she picks that up. She sees her husband explode. Is he going to show it here? In a minute. As though he stepped on a landmine, I suppose. But there you go. She's squeezing the egg. And there we go. And then we see Howard explode. And then she breaks the egg. And the egg's got blood inside. So there was probably a baby crocodile in there. Anyway, so showing that she has no compassion, really. Like I say, she's a bit of a psychopath or a sociopath or whatever you want to call her. Right, it's a rainstorm with thunder and lightning because things are building to a head in the on Powder Keg farm. So they're having their dinner. More sweet corn. So there you go. All right, Mother's found her little program from Palace Follies, and she's saying, it's just a movie, but then she tells her that there's a dance audition in town. She wants to go, and then Mother tells her that she's not. So they have a big row, and they end up shouting and bawling at one another. And her Mother's telling her, we can't always get what we want, and sometimes we've got to make best of what we have got. So you can't go running off and doing auditions. You've got to stay on the farm and look after your family and all that stuff. You've got to do your responsibilities. And Mother kind of gets a bit hysterical now. She said, "I'm only young once, And they said, "I'll go, and if nothing comes of it, I'll come home and I'll never speak of it again." But she says, "No, you're not going." This is where her Mother tells her that she's seen her do things when she thinks no one's watching, killing the animals and stuff like that. She said, and the Mother tells her, there's something wrong with you, and she's kind of a bit scared of her. But then they have a row, and then she gets angry that she's got to do all this horrible. She's got to do all this. She's got to look after her father, and she married him to be, his wife, not his mother. And they're shouting and bawling at one another. And they end up having a fight. So here we go. So they're getting cross. There we go. She's got the knife out. She's saying, "Here, take it. Kill your father." And father's like that. His eyes are. He kind of looks a bit like Peter Stormare, doesn't he? Does it remind you of Peter Stormare? Doesn't me? But it's not. It's Matthew Sutherland, a New Zealand actor. So they're having, this row, and they're going to start shouting and hitting one another in a minute. Here we go. So they're going to start fighting, physical fight now. And hang on, I've missed a bit. And Pearl pushes her Mother towards the fireplace, as we see, and then the dress catches fire, and soon engulfs her, and then she picks up the boiling pot of water that the sweet corn's been bubbling in, throws that on her Mother. So that hasn't helped, and so Mother's lying there, semi-conscious, and then something's snapped now in Pearl. We're getting to the nitty-gritty of the film now. Something snapped in Pearl, and rather than, I don't know, going for help or whatever, I don't know, she just drags her Mother and throws her down in the cellar. Well, not throw, drags her down into the cellar. Basically to die. She runs out, obviously gets on the bike, goes to see the projectionist. We never know his name. She's called the projectionist. Goes to see him, and she forces herself on him now. Um, so, and then she has a dream or a thought about being on the stage, but you can see there's a dad and a mum there on the stage in the audience. So they're all clapping because she's a star. There's Howard. There's a dad. And there's a mother. Her mother takes off her mask to reveal, no, all her face is all manky because she burns and whatever happened. Anyway, then she's, obviously they've done the deed, but as I said, she forced herself on him. But she's going to sneak off back home, and he says, "Where are you going?" So she's got to go and practice for her audition. Anyway, so he offers to give her a ride home because he's got a car. So there we go. So they put her bike in the back, and he gives her a ride home. And then she sees this chap, and obviously we think it's Howard at first, but it's not. It's just a soldier coming home. So the war must be over now. It must be after November 11th, I imagine. I don't know if that tallies with the height of the corn. I'm not a farmer, so I don't know. But anyway, if anybody knows, is that well, I don't know when harvest time in Texas is. Anyway, so he brings her home, and she asks him to come inside. But he says, "Just a minute, I've just got to go and check on something." And you can see everything's as she left it. The food's still on the table. Her dad's still there. So she cleans him up and moves him into the other room. Remember, Mother's down in the basement, and she's not dead yet. He's waiting outside patiently. And she brings him in to meet Dad. Oh, there he sees the pig that Mitzi's mother left there. It's getting all maggots on it. It's all rotting. You'd have thought something had taken it away by now, wouldn't you? An animal. I mean, I've got to admit, I put some spaghetti bolognese out in a dish in the garden, and it didn't take long. I think the next day it were gone. So I think a fox or something must have come along, and pasta and everything, spaghetti. It were gone. So you think something would take that? I mean, they have in Texas. I don't know, coyotes. I don't know. Anyway, there you go. She introduces him to her father, and there he goes. Pleased to meet you. He's being all nice, but then she says, "Would you like to go up to my room?" So takes him up to the bedroom, and tries to seduce him up there. Then he hears a noise. He hears like some banging and stuff like that. And she says, "Ignore it. It's nothing." And then he says, "No, we're going to have to go and check." He says, "What if it's your dad? What if he needs help?" And they say, "It's not my father." Anyway, so she's starting to get, the hump now, which, women can do on the dime. He's going and looking, but he can't see what's going on there. He sees that obviously something's happened here. There's food on the floor. And then she comes out and she says, "It's the dog. It's in the cellar," and, whatever. Then so that's all that noise was. So she wants to show him the barn. So there you go. Show him the animals. There's Mary and Charlie. I don't know what Charlie Chaplin. Charlie Chaplin must be. I don't know what the sheep's called. I can't remember. They're saying that they're her best audience. And he's kind of getting worried, is the projectionist. She's kind of scaring him. And then he says, "What's your dog's name?" And then she goes, "We don't have a dog." He says, "You just said you did in the cellar." And then she kind of, "Oh, yeah." Anyway, so he kind of says, "Well, anywho, ooh, is that the time? I'd better be getting back because I've got a show to do." So then she gets angry now. She turns into, psycho Pearl mode. He says, "What have I done?" Oh, and he says to her, "You've got to practice your dance moves for the audition, remember?" And he says, "What have I done? Why have you gone cold on me?" And eventually he does say, and then she starts shouting at him, and he does say, "You're scaring me, Pearl." In a minute. And he go, why? She's going, why did you change? He goes, you're scaring me, Pearl. So, I've got to go now. So he gets to his car, and then she says, you're not going to leave me here. And she produces the pitchfork and stabs him in the chest, because she's mental. And he's like there, he just like gasps, which I suppose is what you would do, I suppose, if you just stabbed in the chest with a pitchfork. And then she stabs him again, and you blood splattering onto her. Nothing's gonna keep me here. She's kind of enraged, isn't she? Stabs him again. And he starts the car going, and it sort of like trundles away. They go spitting blood out. She's going after him, and she opens the door, and he falls out, and she finishes him off with the pitchfork through his head, like that. I won't show the close-up. So that's the end of The Projectionist. She goes into the house. She goes into the cellar to check on Mother, and I think Mother's passed away now. Yes, I think I think she's died now. And she's going to finish off her dad, I think, now as well. She cleans him up, and then she puts on her red dress. Or does she finish him off later? Or does she do it now? I can't remember. I think she's done it now. I think she suffocates him, I think. Yes, she's got him dressed up. She's cleaned him up and got him dressed up. She's packed her bag, getting ready to go on tour with the dancing troupe, got her red dress on. And then she's going to finish off. There you go. She's going to get a pillow or a pillowcase, and she's going to basically suffocate her dad. And we hear him struggling him, we hear him going, no! So she's killed her dad. She's killed both of her parents now, and the projectionist. Does a Norman Bates, shoves his car into the creek. No swamps here, it's just a creek. So that's the end of him. Down he goes. So she goes riding the bike into town to the church hall, where she sees Mitzi. Mitzi was saying, thought you weren't coming. And so she said, I had some chores to do. I had to murder my family. And the projectionist from the pictures. So they're waiting. What's in the suitcase? She says, my things, she's ready to go on the tour. She says, Ma, you're confident. And she says, I've got to win. I've got to win this. She's determined to win. There you go. It has to be me. And she said, or me. It has to be one of us. If I don't win it, I'll be happy if you do. And then she gets cold feet, does Mitzi. And she says, you go first. Somebody comes out crying. This young girl comes out crying. And they go, next. And Mitzi gets cold feet, says, you go before me. So they're going to swap places. There you go. She's too frightened. She wants Pearl to go first. So that's, there you go. Sister-in-laws have to stick together, or sisters-in-law. Should be, shouldn't it? Right, so it's Pearl's turn. In she goes. Mitzi says, break a leg, because that's what you've got to say, isn't it? Right, so in she goes. And they just start playing some music on the piano, I think. And she just begins there. She steps on the X from the first film, X, but that's her mark. This is to stand on. And they're just going to play some music. Are they going to play music, or is it all in her head? I don't know, because have you noticed the thing's down? So is she going to play music? I've no idea. But we hear it. So is she just hearing it in her head? I've no idea. But she begins. She says, right, when you're ready, in your own time. Oh, no, she's opened it up. She's going to play some music. Right, so she starts dancing, basically. Music hall style dancing. But then it goes into a big dance number. Obviously, this is all in her imagination. I think it was done on a blue screen as well, because in the behind the scenes it shows a scene with a big blue screen behind. So obviously they've added the battlefields of World War One. So they're dancing away, and explosions and stuff are going off in the background. There you go. So she's dancing away, and fireworks and all that stuff, and she's laughing, she's smiling, and being all kind of. Hang on in a minute. He's going to show it in a minute. She's kind of, overdoing it a bit. Is it here? Whatever. And then he says, I'm sorry. Very nice, but I'm sorry, it has to be a no. And she's like, what? Says, I'm sorry, it's not what we're looking for. We're looking for something a bit more all American and blonde. That's what he says. So that was he starts the cogs going in Pearl's brain, but she kind of loses it. She says, "Yes, it was very nice, but not what we were looking for." Next, there you go. So they're trying to usher her out, but there she's, imagining she's seeing the dead projectionist Howard, a dead mother and a dead father there. They're taking the place in her mind of the jury. But there you go. She's saying, "I need this," and she starts screaming and performing. There you go. Tears are flowing, getting all hysterical, saying, "I need this, I've got it." But, she's screaming and sobbing. Anyway, Mitzi comes out and she says, "I'm sorry," and all that. She says, "Let me give you let me take you home." And I think they must walk home. And it's supposed to be quite a long way, so it must have taken a while. And then you see the pigs getting even more rotten. Anyway, so she goes inside and she sees the pig and don't know where she's put her dad. Is he still there? I don't know. But Mitzi doesn't go hunting round. They just sit in the kitchen. I think they get a glass of milk each. And this is a scene. This is the Oscar scene, I suppose. It goes on. It's I think the scene itself something like 7 minutes, but then we get an uncut scene of Pearl, Mia Goth delivering, the Pearl monologue, which is about 5 minutes, uncut. So that's about 5 pages of dialogue that she's had to memorise, and it's amazing. And I can't do it justice. But Mitzi says to her that just what's on your mind, get it off your chest and all that stuff. What's happened? Why are you so upset? And she's saying she misses Howard and all that. And what would you say to Howard? And say, pretend I'm Howard. Just get it all off your chest. Anyway, so starts going on about how she resents Howard. So there you go. She's saying, practice on me first. Pretend I'm Howard and say whatever's on your mind. So this is when she goes off on one. But, not like raving. Just being sad. And she's saying, she hates Howard for leaving her. And, she hates her mum and dad and all that stuff. There you go. And they say, sometimes she hopes he dies. And she's had thoughts about other men. And then, she says she slept with the projectionist. But he was the only one. Pardon me. And then she starts telling her about, you can see she's getting worried now, is Mitzi. And she starts telling her about the other things she's done, like killing animals. And then she ends up, saying that, she killed the parents and the projectionist. She owns up to that. It's just coming out of her. But the tears are going to start flowing soon. And that's it. It's a scene that it sticks with you if you watch it. Obviously, I can't play it because I get into trouble with YouTube. But she's saying that she hates being on this farm, and that how could Howard be so cruel to leave her? And then you go, and the bombshell that she was pregnant with his baby. Obviously, she's must have got rid of it somehow. There you go. She loathed the feeling of it growing inside, so she obviously got rid of it. Doesn't say how, don't know, but anyway, she doesn't want to end up like her mother. And but anyway, so she carries on saying about the animals that she's killed, and then she's moved on to people. There you go. The tears are going. But anyway, so she says, right, okay, right, I'd better be off now, or Mother will be wondering where I am. And she says, Mitzi, you won't tell anybody, will you? First she says, I think, do you think I'm sick, or do you think there's something wrong with me? And she says, no, of course not. She says, you won't tell anybody, will you? He said, no, it'll be our secret. So, all right. And then she says, I think Pearl says to Mitzi, oh, congratulations. Says, what for? He said, on getting the part. And Mitzi says, I didn't get the part. And I don't think she did, genuinely, I don't think she got the part. And obviously, but Pearl doesn't accept that because in her head, Mitzi's the all-American blonde that they were looking for. And says, don't lie to me. And she's got that, kind of murderous look in her eyes. And so she says, oh, okay, oh, thank you. There you go. Says, thank you. Maybe you'll come to the show. And anyway, I've really got to go. So off she goes. And he says, I really do love Howard, I say, I know. But anyway, so off she goes and she starts walking. That's why I'm thinking they must have walked. I was expecting her to be in like a car because we saw Mother in a car, didn't we, earlier on? But they must have walked back. In them uncomfortable looking shoes on these rough 1918 roads. But anyway, she's walking down, and then we see Pearl picks up the axe that we saw Mother chopping wood with earlier on, and she just starts stalking her down the path. And Mitzi's like, help me, and running. Obviously, she falls over. And she just gets an axe in the back, and she's not dead yet. She's saying, please don't kill me. But there's all blood coming out. But she says, it's about making the best of what I have. So she kills Mitzi. Right, she's going down to see to her mother. Her mother wasn't quite dead then. She's tried to get her up the steps, look, and not managed it. So, she's going to lie with her mother because she never had chance to do that. And then she's brushing her mother's hair, and it's all falling out. And then it shows her chopping up Mitzi. I forgot about this bit. Look, it's kind of gruesome. I'll show it. I don't know what YouTube will think about it, but she chops up Mitzi and chucks the bits in the creek. Yeah, very gruesome. Then what does she do? She goes to feed the animals as normal. And she goes back in the house. Prepares dinner. Gets the rotting pig. There she's imagining that her mother's still alive and telling her that she loves her. Anyway, so they're there, a dead family around the table. I say she's completely lost it. Then Howard comes home from the war. Here we go. He comes home. There we find out. There we go. Powder Keg Farms. So here he comes. He goes and sees everybody's dead. There the food's going all mouldy. It's been there for a while, obviously. And then he turns round and sees Pearl. Says, I'm so happy you're home. And she smiles. And that's the end of the film. There we go. The end. And she holds this smile for a really long time. The music starts. As the credits are going. And they're just holding on her. Holding this, painful looking smile, and apparently she didn't know this was going to happen. Just Ty West refused to say cut and just kept filming her holding this smile, and she's doing it for so long. I say long, it's like I think it's less than 2 minutes. I think it's something like 1 minute and 50 seconds or something like that. But it's a long time, I suppose, when you're holding it. But it brings tears to her eyes. We see tears coming out, and so she's holding it a long, long time, and but it's just to show that how crazy she is, I suppose. Look, she's still at it. Look, there you go. She's crying, and then we iris in to the end, and obviously Howard comes to terms with it because they're still married after, and 1979. They're still there on the farm as old people. I don't know, 80 years old-ish, I suppose, on the farm. So he's obviously okay with it, unless he's just terrified of her. I can't really remember many of the details, to be honest, of X. But anyway, Pearl is an amazing film. Let's go back to her smiling there. There we It is an amazing film. I really like it, and it goes by really quickly. I'm not sure how long it is, how long the film is, but it goes by like that because the performances in it are astonishing. We'll get rid of that. So there we go. That's Pearl. An hour and 42 minutes. There we go. A really, 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 really good film. And better than X in my opinion. And there's a sequel coming out this year called Maxine with 3 X's in, about the Mia Goth character from X, not Pearl, Maxine, that's set in the 80s, I think. So I'm looking forward to that. So that's the end of Pearl. Seek it out. It's really good. As I said, it's on Blu-ray. I imagine it'll be on some streaming service somewhere. Don't ask me which one. Probably Prime. Might be on Shudder. I don't know. But seek it out. A great film. Right. So we'll leave it there. What's coming up next on Friday Night Appointment with Fear? I will tell you what's coming up next on Friday Night Appointment with Fear. The next film we're doing is going to be Final Destination, the first one. I'll probably get round to the others at some point, but we'll do the first one, and that's coming up next. So there we go. Right, we'll leave it there. So thanks for watching. Wherever you are, don't have nightmares, and until next time, I'll see thee.